Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Many of the longtime Oklahoma listeners know how excited I am for Jackson Arnold and what he can do for this Oklahoma offense in 2024. Spent the last couple days watching some film on both Jackson Arnold and the Oklahoma offense with Dillon Gabriel. I want to talk about why I think Jackson Arnold can elevate this Oklahoma offense heading into the SEC, heading into that 2024 season. And kind of right off the bat, this is in no way me getting at Dillon Gabriel for not being a good quarterback. You take a look at the numbers: 3,600 yards, 30 touchdowns to only 6 interceptions, a 69% completion percentage. Dillon Gabriel was a phenomenal quarterback for the Oklahoma Sooners, but I guess when it gets down to it, there's a reason Dillon Gabriel is not going to the NFL draft, and that was the arm talent is not quite at that NFL level. And a guy like Jackson Arnold has that arm talent. Want to dive into some film and talk a little bit about how Jackson Arnold's arm talent is going to open up this Oklahoma offense heading into the 2024 year. Extremely excited to get into it. Before we do, just want to say thank you to you guys. And it has been a blast talking this program, whether it's on the high school recruiting trail, transfer portal, doing deep dives into this program. Cannot thank the Oklahoma fans enough for all the support you guys have shown the boys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And without further ado, let's get into this one. And I want to talk about how this Oklahoma offense really is going to open up with Jackson Arnold taking over this offense. And going back to kind of some of our talking points throughout that 2023 season, when you saw Oklahoma's offense slow down, it was largely because it was a very congested offense in the terms that you weren't really attacking defenses at all portions of the football field. And why that was, at least in my opinion, was Dillon Gabriel didn't really have the arm strength to make some of the throws I think Oklahoma wanted him to make. Very rarely did you see Oklahoma ask Dillon Gabriel to make a lot of throws from the opposite hash to that far boundary because the arm talent and the arm strength really wasn't there. And I think Jackson Arnold taking over this Oklahoma offense, if there's one thing we don't have a question about Jackson Arnold, is the arm strength and what throws that he can and cannot make, because there's not a throw on the football field Jackson Arnold cannot make. And I want to start with taking a look at, Jackson Arnold versus Dillon Gabriel attacking the deeper third, going back to that Arizona game where you saw Jackson Arnold, he went through some true freshman growing pains. There's no question about that. I don't think the offensive line helped him out very much. Quite frankly, the wide receivers did not either. But you saw some things that were extremely impressive for a guy like Dillon Gabriel. And the first thing is attacking the deeper third, right? When you see Jackson Arnold effortlessly throw a football 60 yards on a rope, on a dot to Brennan Thompson, those are the kind of things that you didn't really see Dillon Gabriel make a few of. And you see the all-22, you kind of get a better appreciation for the arm talent and the arm strength that Dillon Gabriel has. And why I want to highlight that is you go back to some film of Dillon Gabriel, you didn't really see Dillon Gabriel have that arms talent and have that arm strength, right? Pushing the ball down the field here, just gets kind of caught up. And you see the Oklahoma State defenders able to come and make a play. Now, I get Dillon Gabriel had some heat in his face there, but that kind of highlights one of, I think, the biggest talking points for this Oklahoma offense is Jackson Arnold is going to allow Oklahoma to do a little bit more things down the field, trying to hit the explosive plays and attacking the deeper third. That's going to open up Oklahoma for some of that shorter underneath stuff. And you saw Oklahoma when they struggled, you saw teams not really challenge Dillon Gabriel to go attack the deeper third and push the ball down the field. And what did that mean is they were kind of scrunching down on this defense, and that short intermediate stuff, the stuff that Dillon Gabriel wanted to work to, wasn't there as much, because you knew defenses and safeties were kind of squeezing down on that Oklahoma offense. The next thing I want to talk about is kind of just some stuff you can't really teach for Jackson Arnold. And this is kind of the reason he's a 5-star prospect. There's a reason why we're all so excited. This is a play that, quite frankly, Dillon Gabriel wouldn't be able to make. You talk about the arm talent, the arm strength to get your shoulders, not really having your shoulders turned at all, not having your feet underneath you, and kind of just a flick of the wrist, put a ball on a dot in the end zone for a guy like Nick Anderson. That's the kind of pedigree that Jackson Arnold brings to the table that you didn't really have with Dillon Gabriel. Again, Dillon Gabriel, why was he so special for this Oklahoma offense? He was truly the point guard of the offense, right? He was making the throws that Jeff Lebby, Brent Venables were asking him to make. He was often on time and accurate, but there were certain things that Dillon Gabriel just couldn't offer to this Oklahoma offense. And again, normally when you see a quarterback go for 3,600 yards, 30 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, complete 70% of his footballs, he's probably going to the NFL. And again, there's a reason Dillon Gabriel's not. He's a phenomenal college football quarterback. I think he's going to do great things at Oregon in 2024. Jackson Arnold offers a little bit of a different flavor and kind of just a little bit more upside to this Oklahoma offense. The last thing I want to talk about is Jackson Arnold and his ability to rip footballs in there and let his players operate from space. And this was something that you kind of saw as a Michigan fan, J.J. McCarthy and Cade McNamara, and kind of the difference between J.J. and Cade. And right, Cade was a guy that won a Big Ten championship for Michigan, beat Ohio State for the first time in 10 years. Cade McNamara was a very good college football quarterback for the Michigan Wolverines, but why did J.J. McCarthy get the job in 2022? Part of the reason was his ability to really allow his wide receivers to operate in space. The ball gets to receivers quicker than Dillon Gabriel got it to them. And you kind of see it on this film right here when you see Jackson Arnold, really just able to rip it into his receiver, wait for that throwing window to open, and let a guy like Jalil Farooq catch the football and have the ability to operate in space, the ability to get that football quickly and on time to your wide receivers before defensive backs have a chance to break on the football and make a play on the tackler. That is going to allow Oklahoma to hit some explosive plays. Now, you see Jalil Farooq go make something happen after the catch because that ball gets to him so quick. Now, he ends up fumbling the football, obviously a massive storyline in that game, but that kind of highlights what Jackson Arnold can do. You take a look at another piece of film, very similar conversation we're having with this one in terms of Jackson Arnold being able to rip it in there. And you kind of freeze frame here. We have a wide receiver with a ton of ability to create after the catch. Again, Jalil Farooq, and a guy that, I mean, if he doesn't get tripped up by the ankles, that play could be going for another 20, 30 yards. And I think that ability to have the arm strength that Jackson Arnold has to really allow his wide receivers to get the football and operate in spaces, probably what's most exciting for this Oklahoma offense going into that 2024 year. And at the end of the day, I kind of go back and watch some of that Oklahoma film with Dillon Gabriel as the quarterback. And again, this was one of the best offenses in the country. I'm not knocking Dillon Gabriel. You saw Oklahoma very rarely ask Dillon Gabriel to make those NFL level throws. And as a result, there were some things that Oklahoma just couldn't do in their offense and in their playbook that I think they wanted to do. I think what you're most excited about with Jackson Arnold coming in is this playbook is going to open up a little bit more. You're going to force defenses to respect every single blade of grass on the football field where they really didn't have to with Dillon Gabriel. Very rarely did you see Dillon Gabriel go from one opposite hash and make a throw to the opposite boundary. And that is because not a lot of college football quarterbacks can make those kind of throws. And when you, allow a defense to kind of be able to not really have to be responsible for certain areas and certain throws, it gets really easy for defenses to scheme up against an offense. I think Jackson Arnold unlocks a little bit of higher potential for this Oklahoma offense. And that's what I'm most excited about. This is going to be a really fun storyline. We're going to continue to talk about this as spring practice rolls around. I think what you're most excited for is now this is Jackson Arnold's team. There's no question about it. He's going to get the quarterback 1 reps throughout spring practice, throughout fall camp. He's going to have the ability to gel with a very, very talented wide receiver room. You bring in a guy like Deion Burks, you get Andrel Anthony back from injury, you throw in Nick Anderson, Jaden Gibson, Jaquez Petaway, one of my guys. I'm really excited to see what Jackson Arnold can do in terms of not only his on-the-field play, but opening up this Oklahoma offense a little bit more, allowing them to do some different concepts that, quite frankly, they just couldn't do with Dillon Gabriel in 2023. Really excited for this offense. Again, appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We're going to continue talking about this OU program, Jackson Arnold taking over as the spring and fall play out. Appreciate y'all, and we'll talk to you guys later. Peace.